October 1962. The world had 13 days left to live, and almost no one knew it. It began with a single photograph. A U-2 spy plane, flying high above Cuba, captured something American analysts had feared but never confirmed. Soviet missile sites under construction 90 miles from Florida. Nuclear weapons capable of striking Washington, New York, half the country, in minutes. President Kennedy was briefed in secret. The Pentagon wanted action immediately. Some generals pushed for airstrikes. Others wanted a full invasion. But what happened next shocked everyone inside that room. Kennedy hesitated, not out of weakness, out of fear of what came after the first shot. Behind closed doors, a small group of advisors began meeting in total secrecy. They called themselves ExComm. No press, no public statements, just men in a room deciding whether the world would see tomorrow. The CIA estimated the missiles would be operational within days. Every hour mattered. Every decision carried the weight of millions of lives. And still, the public knew nothing. They went to work. They sent their kids to school. They had no idea how close they were to the edge. On October 22nd, Kennedy finally spoke to the nation. Not the whole truth, but enough. A naval blockade. Soviet ships turned away. The world held its breath. But what the public didn't know was far darker than what was said on television. Soviet submarines were already in Cuban waters armed with nuclear torpedoes. American destroyers began dropping depth charges, trying to force them to surface. Inside one submarine, the captain believed war had already started above. He gave the order to arm a nuclear torpedo. Only one man stopped him, a single dissenting officer, refusing to authorize the launch. History came down to one disagreement in one submarine that almost nobody on the surface ever knew about. Meanwhile, over Cuba, an American U-2 was shot down. The pilot killed instantly. Kennedy's advisors expected him to retaliate immediately. Military doctrine demanded it, but he didn't. He waited. He had already lost control of the timeline, and he knew it. Then came the back channel, a secret letter, then another, contradicting the first, arriving from Moscow. Confusion at the highest levels. Was Khrushchev still in control of his own government? Or was someone else inside the Kremlin pushing for war? For 13 days, nobody outside that room knew how close it truly was. Strategic Air Command had already moved to its highest alert ever recorded. Bombers armed, submarines in position. One miscalculation, one missed signal, and there would be no time for a second chance. And then, quietly, a resolution. A deal struck in secret, only partially revealed to the public for decades. The missiles would leave Cuba. In exchange, a promise the world wouldn't fully understand until years later. Concessions kept hidden from the American people themselves. The crisis ended. The cameras turned away. Life went back to normal. But somewhere in classified files, the full story sat buried for over 20 years. The submarine, the dissenting officer, the secret trade. The world had walked to the edge of extinction, and almost no one alive that week ever knew exactly how close they came. Some say the closest moment to nuclear war in human history wasn't a missile. It was one man in a submarine no one could see, choosing not to push a button. What would have happened if he had?